Bim, guess what? That was the week that was. Or, no, it's not. It's what a week that was. I don't even know the title of the thing yet. It's all very new to me. This is only week 3, so just bear with us. Basically, we're going to discuss the items of news that caught my attention this week and get very excited by some of the things that have occurred, including this lovely doggy here, which was rescued by a drone with a sausage hanging from a rope. It was on some mud flaps and no one could get to it, and they figured that the best way was to get the dog off, so they put a sausage on a rope tied to a drone, and yeah, it worked. Dog is safe. Dog is cute. I'm not a doggy person, but it's a cute doggy, so we like that story. It seems to be a good story. We're also going to look at some things that happened last week that we started discussing. The Greater Manchester Clean Air Zone, we mentioned that last week, and it turns out, surprise surprise, that it's now possibly been put on hold, because it does turn out that it's £65 a day for older vehicles, big vehicles, not cars or anything, but it's the thin end of a wedge. So that is now 100% under review. Djokovic, we were talking about him last week as well. He actually got sent home, so he's now back in Serbia, having been refused access to Australia. Good, because like we said, it was just frustratingly annoying that he thought he could get away with it. Then we got the news of this week. So also this week, which was quite exciting, a young girl flew around the world single-handedly, not in one go, because she only had a little plane, she had to keep stopping in different places, but she had no one with her, and she flew the whole way around the world. Zara Rutherford, and she's the youngest round the world female flyer pilot thing. Good morning, Paul. So that was good. We like good news, you see. Good news is good news. Another bizarre one here. Activision have been bought by Xbox. That includes Blizzard as well. So if you play World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, or anything else, then you'll be fine. Hang on, what's going on here? Right, okay, nothing there, just a message. But yeah, now, does that mean Call of Duty is going to be exclusive? I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big Call of Duty fan. I much prefer EA's Battlefield, although the last one was a bit naff as well. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Watch this space. But Microsoft seem to be buying a lot of stuff. They bought Bethesda as well, fairly recently. So interesting times for the gaming world, it says on the line. What else has gone on this week? Let's see, what's that a picture of? Oh yes, of course. Tonga. A massive eruption of a volcano, which has sadly taken lots of people's lives and destroyed a lot of Tonga. I always thought Tonga was one island. It's not, it's lots of little islands. So at the moment, even though it was a week ago when it happened, we still don't know exactly the devastation of that, but we wish everyone well in Tonga, and hopefully it will be able to recover. But they're not allowing people in to help because they are COVID free and they don't want COVID on the island on top of everything else, which kind of makes sense. Talking of COVID, in Hong Kong, they are culling, please note I said culling, hamsters, because a hamster has been found to have COVID. So they're killing them all hamsters in Hong Kong. Bit extreme if you ask me. What I do is just make them self-isolate. I mean, they do that anyway. They're in cages. I really don't see what was going on there. But anyway, people on a higher pay grade than mine have come up with this idea. Who am I to argue with them? Well, yeah, I'm me, aren't I? I argue with everyone about everything. And then, of course, we get to the crux of the week's news. Bojo. He's been in trouble again, but he's actually admitted and was a bit sheepish as well, to be fair. in the Commons for Boris, but I think whether it's an act or not, I don't know. We call him Bumbling Boris because he's a bumbling idiot, but he does actually, he seems to have done quite a bit of good, but then he just completely messes up. It's like your mad uncle that you have, you know, who likes going to parties all the time, ironically. He's also been accused of getting some of his people behind the scenes to blackmail other Tory MPs in order to vote a certain way, with little caveats of a school or whatever. And you're like, that's been going on in politics forever. I don't think that's really news. And I'm pretty sure Blair did it as well when he was around. I'm sure Thatcher also did it. So I don't really see what the news there is. The only problem is that Boris now has decided, for whatever reason, and I dread to think what the reason is, that the COVID restrictions that we've got are no longer needed. When hospitals are actually struggling already. He's getting rid of face masks in school classes at the moment. And then he's getting rid of the passports to get into nightclubs and everything from next Thursday. Masks are not mandatory, but what's the word? Advised in small places like public transport and things like that. I think he's going for herd immunity, which is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous indeed. More so because I saw this on the news, on the internet today. Admitted this was after Boris had already said all these things are going to be forgotten about, and that is there's a new Omicron, a sub-lineage BA2 designated as COVID variant under investigation. So it might not all be over. We might be going into COVID round 3. So I think face masks definitely should be left in small spaces and things like that, because if you don't leave them in small spaces and things like that, then, well, we're just going to get it everywhere. And if this new variant is more deadly than the previous variant, then we are in deep poo-poo. He's also said that, going back to the mask things, not the mask things, the COVID passports. I don't know whether the chat's working or not, just bear with me. Going back to the COVID passports, he said that they're not needed to go in restaurants, nightclubs and things like that. Now, I've always thought they were pointless anyway, because it doesn't tell, just because you've had the vaccination and the other bits and pieces, does not mean that you are immune from catching it and spreading it, which I've said all along. So if you want people to be safe in an environment, then you need them to do a rapid flow test actually at the venue when they get there, which takes time and money, and rapid flow tests are quite difficult to get hold of. Another thing I've noticed as well recently is the fact that the news is saying how many deaths there have been from anyone who's had COVID and been who's said they've got COVID in the last 28 days. If they've died within 28 days of contracting COVID, there we got there eventually. Hello, Sean J. They may have died from other reasons. Well, we've always known that. It's always said that. But now the news, BBC in particular, seems to be really keen on mentioning that. You know, people may have died for other reasons. Well, yeah, we know that. I mean, you could be diagnosed with COVID and get hit by a bus. You still die, but you're still classed as being a death by COVID, even though it wasn't. But it's always been like that. So I don't understand why the BBC News and all that is going on about it. It's just weird. Don't say anything, which is a bit weird as well. Normally, you're very chatty by this point. I'm just rattling through everything. I'll be done in 5 minutes. It'd be nice. A quick one today. Although I've already done 9 minutes. So, maybe not then. Who knows? No, right, okay. Don't know what happened there. But anyway. Oh, here we go. Transgeek, cinemas haven't had their day. Last few times I've been cinema, I've been packed. But remember, the vaccine time is like 15 minutes to drive. You have to. I don't like this person. You don't like what person? $5G. Yeah, definitely 5G. 100% 5G. But anyway, Tonga eruption we've done, Boris blackmail we've done, dog rescue we've done, Zora we've done. Oh yes, Boris had another bad week as well. Well, another thing happened this week. This is even more ridiculous, to be fair, and I just don't understand why this is allowed to be. And that is a defection. Keir Starmer, very happily there, welcoming a defector, someone who's just literally swapped sides from Tories to Labour because, well, he's scared of losing his seat. But it doesn't work. If I vote for someone, whatever party they're for, and they get in, then I'm voting for that person and the party and their party's views. It's for them to switch sides. I don't get it. It's horrible. It's a nasty thing to do. And it's cheap and I don't know. He's got a beard though, so don't trust him, basically. And Keir Starmer there, Mr. I've had COVID 3 times, shaking his hand, which again probably isn't recommended. But why are you allowed to do that? If you swap sides, if you're an MP and you swap sides, then surely to God, the only thing you should do then is resign as an MP and have a by-election, and then you stand, if the party that you've swapped will let you stand, as a Labour candidate in this case, Tories put someone else up and we have another by-election. That's the only way you can do it. You can't just swap and change parties. It doesn't work like that. That's not democracy. I don't even know what that is. It's just weird. We're not putting that one up, Sean. So yeah, it's that politics is a strange, nasty, horrible place to be, and unfortunately, there's lots of people in it who are not necessarily in it for the right reasons. I mean, we never even heard of this guy before, so he's hardly a big shot. Talking of Keir, though, he was in the news at the beginning of the week. This was not reported on the TV, but it was reported quite widely in papers and various other places as well. Keir Starmer says he broke no COVID rules with an office beer. Basically, he's been found out to have had a drinks incident, alcoholic drinks incident, within an environment that may not be construed, I'm being very careful here, as something that was legal at the time he did it. Those in glass houses, don't throw stones. That's what I always say. Oh, Jeremy Corbyn, yeah. Who's very scummy? Boris didn't want to be Prime Minister during a tough time. He wanted to be PM, to say he was PM, and then go back to being a quiz show host. Yeah, to be fair, he was very good on 8 or 10 Cats. Not 8 or 10 Cats. Have I got news for you? I did enjoy him on that. That was really good. But yeah, like I said, I don't understand how you can swap sides and it's okay to do that. It just makes no sense to me. It's immoral. It's just not very nice at all. So yeah, we don't like that at all. It's horrible. Yuck. Nasty. Nasty piece of work. Talking nasty piece of work. Lewis Hamilton. Yay! He's been very quiet since he lost the World Championship in the F1s last year on the last lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Saying, well, he's not saying anything actually, to be fair. He's deleted all his Instagram followers, i.e. he doesn't follow anyone now on Instagram, not even his dog. And he's not really been all over social media. He's kind of just gone very quiet because he's sulking like a baby, because that's what he is. He's a good racing driver, there's nothing wrong with that. He's just not a very nice human being, going off what people say who know him anyway. So, Sir Lewis. No, DC. Yeah, he got knighted as well. I don't understand that. Let's dodge tax. Let's not pay millions of pounds tax to the UK government and then get knighted for it. Anyway, going back to the race, a lot of kerfuffle was made in the fact that some of the cars that were lapped, which were in between Lewis, who was leading the Grand Prix, and Max Verstappen, who was in second place, were allowed to overtake, which is standard procedure. Usually it's all the cars, but they only did like the first 7, 5, or whatever cars that had been lapped, and they was going around the track, and it was the last lap, and then they released the cars. Max Verstappen got passed on the last lap with a really good move, to be fair. won the race, won the championship. Lewis Hamilton shook his hand, and we thought that was the end of that. And then Toto Wolff and Mercedes decided to kick up a stink about it and say, meh, 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 meh. You know, it's not fair, blah, 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 blah. Well, I remember Lewis Hamilton's first championship was in Brazil, and Timo Glock, I think it was, slowed down, let Lewis past. Massa had already gone over the line, at that point was champion. Lewis wouldn't have been if Glock hadn't have slowed down. And Lewis got the championship because he overtook him, got the points he needed, and won the race. And Timo Glock finished the race as well. So it's not like his car was breaking down or anything. But that was okay. And if it had been the other way around, I'm pretty sure that if Lewis had been in second place and Max Verstappen had been in first place and Lewis had overtaken Max Verstappen on the last lap under the same circumstances, roles reversed, he wouldn't have said, you know what, Max? No, you won that. You can have it back. No, it doesn't work like that. Sometimes the luck goes for you and sometimes it goes against you. I mean, the luck went for him when he knocked off Max Verstappen in Silverstone. I know he didn't mean to kill him, but you know, he was lucky that he didn't crash his car then as well, because if they'd have both gone off, then Max would have won the championship the race before, so it wouldn't have made any difference what happened. Anyway, it looks like we've got some chat now, which is good. Well, he wasn't the worst person to be knighted this year. Yeah, I did him last week, Sean. Clock didn't slow down. He was on dry tyres on a wet track, same as Lando in Russia. Well, there you go then. But either way, it makes no sense that it's all like that. So it's like a phone vibrating, doesn't it? It's just like fuming. Hate him so much. Sadly though, we lost someone who was very much respected by very many people this week. It's a bit like going, this is exactly like the first one, isn't it? The first one we did, because we were going on about how wonderful I forgot his name, Desmond Tutu was, and then why is a war criminal being knighted, as in Tony Blair allegedly. And this time we've done Lewis Hamilton, text, don't you? And Meatloaf, who was a fantastic human being as far as I could make out. He had a rough life and he just kept going, and when you see him not being Meatloaf but just being with his fans, he seemed genuine. He seemed to be genuinely interested in the fans and everything. And sadly, at the age of 74, we lost him in the last 24 hours or so. And yep, like everyone else, I've got the album. I paid £3.99 for it back in the day. Bat Out of Hell, one of the best albums of all time. Only one I really bought by Meatloaf, I'll be honest. I got a couple of CDs of his, but there you go. That's what a record looks like. You've never seen one before. This is a proper record. This is an old record. Look how thin it is. None of these 180 grams rubbish that you get nowadays. Proper record. It was in the chart, this album, for I think well over 500 weeks, which would be getting on for 10 years. It wasn't in the top 10 or anything, but certainly in the top 100, 75, top 75 for that length of time. And he seemed a good guy, and he always seemed, when he spoke about stuff, his problems and everything, he was quite open about them as well when he was being interviewed. And I like that, when people are open about things and explain what's going on in the head, and just, you know, try and be lovely people. So, I think I've run out now. Boo-hoo. There's nothing else to say, really, other than, unless there's anything you want to go back on. So what we discussed today, we discussed COVID, flying around the world, Djokovic, Boris, the dog and the sausage, they were misses. You had to be there at the beginning. Keir Starmer drinking, Lewis Hamilton sulking, MPs betraying and switching. I mean, they're not only betraying the party, they're actually betraying the voters, which is what I was saying. It's just, I don't know, it's just immoral at the best of times. And when he was being interviewed about it, he just seemed very cagey and very, I don't know, a bit creepy. I wouldn't have voted for him in the first place, I'll be honest with you. What's that one? That's a new variant of Omicron. Will that actually be a thing? Will we be worried about that? Or is it just another one to let it go? Boris is definitely going for herd immunity, and that is very, very worrying indeed. If you're doing herd immunity, do it when the hospitals are not full of other people and patients. Do it when it's quieter. And all these Nightingale hospitals that we had, they were wasted. We should have used them for people who need hip operations, knee operations, stuff like that. Have the operation in the main hospital. Keep them in overnight. If they're okay, transfer them to a Nightingale hospital where they can be looked at by other medical staff, but not necessarily as highly trained as what you need in the hospital. Frees up the hospital bed. You can do another operation another day. So instead of someone being in hospital for 3 weeks, or not 3 weeks, a week, hugging a bed, they go into the Nightingale. You can get probably 3 patients done in the same time as to do one, and then stick everyone in the Nightingale, and you get rid of your lists. Because no matter what, if we're living with Omicron and we're living with COVID, those lists are never going to go down unless we either A, spend a lot of money on hospitals and a lot of money on doctors and nurses, but that takes time to come through, or we just work on what we've got. The Nightingales were a brilliant idea. I thought they were got rid of too soon. I think they could have been used better for other items. Anyway, that seems to be it. No one's really chatting this week, so it's a quiet one. So yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all again. Well, Omicron is easier to live with than a cold in my experience. Yeah, but that's because you always get man flu whenever you get a cold. As do most men, to be fair. Anyway, I digress. So you look after yourselves, stay safe, keep wearing your masks, particularly in small areas. Protect your older family members and things like that. I mean, masks, as far as I'm concerned, are staying in my shop, at least as long as the shop's staying. Have a look at Wigan Watch for that news. I know we just have to live with it, we know that. But anyway, you take care, look after yourselves, stay safe, and yeah, bye. Oh yeah, hang on, I've worked out something for next week. Because you know, if you watch the last leg, you say we'll see you next week for the next leg, and it's all dead funny, and everyone goes, "Hey, well done." And I'm trying to work out one for this, because this is called What a Week That Was. So I'll see you again next week to see what week this was, what the next week was, what... Oh, it didn't work. I'll keep working on it. Bye. Oh, thanks to Sean, DC and Paul for your interactions. Until next time, bye. This was very much like GB News. This was totally amateurish. I feel really bad, but I blame you guys because there was very little coming from you guys. So it's your fault. It was rubbish this week. Till next time.